Hey everybody, just figured I put up a video about this step that I made for my tractor. So Jason here with Davis Shop Works. I built this step right prior to me making these videos. Otherwise I think I would have made a video about this. Sizing it up, some of the design work that went into it. So I'll start out by saying that for the Massey Ferguson GC series, seems like there's only one person making steps for these tractors. They looked a little small. I watched a couple videos. It just looked a little small to me, and they had said that it worked with the mid-mount mower. I have the 60-inch mid-mount mower, which is the only mower in the line, from my understanding. That locks in the up position. That's where it's at right now. It's locked in the up position. So you can continue to use the 3-point. This thing will only go up and down just very slightly. And then once it hits that lock position, it stops. So anyway, so I made this step, and the reason I made it was I liked the idea of having a step here. Stepping up to the deck on this tractor, I'm going to say is about 21 inches tall. Stepping up to this step is, get a little tighter here, it's actually 14 inches from the ground. So 14 inches versus 21 inches. So I can step up to 14 and step up to this one here. Now the step from here to here is just over 6 inches. It's like 6.5, 7. So at 21, since I'm measuring way out here, it might be 20.5. The way that math works out in my head. So looking at that, this is a much easier transition, I feel like, than stepping right up to this. And I have tested it. I really like it. I like the way that's worked out. So one of the things that guys talked about, I've seen a few times is in a couple forum posts. I mean, this is the Massey Fergusons are really underrepresented, seemingly. But they step on this mower deck, and nobody really seems to be a big fan of that. I'm definitely not a big fan of it. I'm sure that this deck, since it takes the weight of the front end loader to drive on and off this deck, I'm sure it's just fine. I'm sure that this thing is more than sturdy enough to carry all 230 pounds of me. The design behind this step kind of came with a process I was teaching about, was cardboard templating. And so I made my own cardboard template. I've done this for years, doing fabrication work. I did not end up using it. I made like a little corner bracket here. I didn't end up using it. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and just take that off there. But at any rate, and maybe that was just put in there too, kind of as a way to hold this into a 90. But I had kind of designed this thing up. So I took some blue tape and I punched the little holes where those factory holes are in the loader frame. Which is just this piece. The gray piece actually stays on the tractor. This red part here all comes off. So I center lined those two holes and center lined them up and down as well. And then I located that one onto my cardboard. So I'll step up a little closer and show you that. So I located that hole and then kind of roughly located the second hole. I didn't really care about that. The plan was, see how far down I wanted to drop, and then how big I wanted this step to be. Now originally, whenever I first designed this step, I wanted the step to be an inch wider, come out a little further. And the reason for that is whenever I step on it here in a minute or two, you'll see what I'm talking about. I just wanted a little bit more width, but whenever I took the mower deck off and was really kind of laying down around here and looking, and I realized that I didn't think it looked quite right. I thought, well, better go ahead and take an inch. And so I reduced it down to its current size. So currently, this it's a 4-inch plate, which I think I cut that out of 5-inch, 1/4-inch thick flat steel that I had. This one here is, take a look here, 3 inches. So this top plate here is 3 inches tall. This bottom plate is cut down to 4. I think I had 5-inch plate, 5-inch wide plate. So I cut it down to the 4 inches to get rid of that inch. Looking back, I mean, I potentially maybe could have left it, but I'm still pretty glad that I did it, because functionally it didn't really take anything. The other step, because mine isn't commercially made, I made this in-house, but and I really don't have any intentions to like sit around making these. But the other step, I don't think, from watching a video on a guy's shoe on it, I'm not sure how wide it is here, how big the step plate is. So we'll get into that. So theirs, I believe, stops about right here, I think. I did extend back further, and I hope that you guys can see that in this video. So anyway, I wanted mine to be a little wider, but then I wanted it to kind of be rounded off and kind of have a flowing look to it. Everything I've done with steel over the years, I really care about how things turn out and how it looks. Functionality is number one, but in kind of safety, security, but then there comes a point where I like it to look kind of elegant, in a sense. I like my stuff to look like somebody really cared whenever they built it. So anyway, I used the 2 holes that were already in the loader frame. Didn't have to drill anything. I'm kind of big on making things that you don't have to modify anything to make it work. So if it gets removed later, you can just take it off. Somebody doesn't like it, they can take it off and do whatever they want with it. Now, one of the design problems with this is I had 2 flat plates and no real non-skid surface. And so as I was trying to figure out the non-skid surface, I went ahead and welded these 2 plates up. Now, if you were to build this, like I said, you're going to have a 4-inch wide flat plate, a 3-inch wide flat, both of them 1/4-inch thick. The size and length that I did is 10 1/4, just over 10 1/4. But we're basically, we just call that 10 1/4. The sweep back and everything and the rounding, I just take like a electrical tape. I've got some also like a roll of electrical tape, or you know, I've got some other things I can make radiuses from. Sometimes I just hand draw them. So those things all come out the way that I feel like it should look. So I just kind of wash it, and then I just drew the line in there. Plasma cutter. I cut all this out with my plasma cutter, and then so this bolt pattern here. So a friend of mine at work had talked about putting bolts in there, and using the heads of the bolts to create like a grip spot for me. And I thought, man, that's a heck of an idea. So the way that these were done is I picked the bolt size that I wanted, and I got like 12 of them. And so those 12, I took some graph paper. I set the step edge here and this back edge into the graph paper on the lines. And then I just traced it. And I traced the back side, and then I drew a line where my weld space was, and I just wrote no-go, because I didn't want to have anything in there, obviously. I knew then how flat my tread was. And so I went ahead and I laid out all my bolts on there and kind of positioned them around, and used that graph paper, 1/4-inch graph paper, to space out where the proper spacing would be for these bolts. Once I settled on a design, I went ahead and laid it out on the graph paper with a pencil. And so removing the bolts and going along and I'm measuring out, make sure everything come out right. I took that graph paper and I set it on that flat plate after I cut the edges out, kind of lined it up, and then I just center punch marked where all my holes would be. They were pretty close. Where I kind of screwed up was I was in a little bit of a hurry. Had one of the kids with me, and I was showing her how to be quick with it, and I didn't pre-drill with a smaller drill bit first, and so I think 2 of the holes are a little off, but no big deal. Also, whenever I went to weld these in, I had to clamp the bolts so that they would stay flat, and then I chopped off all the threads that were remaining on the bottom with a sawzall. Whenever I did that, I slid another piece of steel to hold the bolt heads kind of in a row so that maybe they would end up being kind of lined up, and only one of those is actually off at the end. But I clamped all that down, and then I went ahead and welded all of them up. Now I welded using 6011 1/8 inch rod. I ran a little hot whenever I did the bolts because I wanted the bolt to get hot, and then I wanted to melt the bolt through it, you know, get as much penetration as I could with my welds. So they are fully welded, and then the backside I just went ahead and ground them down. Same thing with the plates. What I did is I staggered them, so then that way whenever I welded I had a root pass on this backside, and then I had a cover pass, and then on this one in here I just went ahead and did a you know, just welded it up after I cleaned up that root pass. So after I got done welding this up, I ground this down, and I kind of cleaned everything up, and then I primed and painted it using what was Massey Ferguson gray. Now, I'm not sure if it'll show up in the camera, but this is a lighter gray than the gray that they're using now, oddly enough. I'm assuming if I was rebuilding a Massey Ferguson 135 or older series tractor or something like that, it's the first one that comes to my mind, I would assume maybe that gray is the gray that they used then, but it's definitely not the gray that they're using now. So I might repaint this someday, repaint it black or something. I'm going to see how this wears and everything as I go along, but just to show you how decent it is, I put my hand on the top of this loader, and as you can see, I've got a good foot pad. There's a handle back here. I'm not sure how much of this shows in the camera exactly, but I'm able to get on and off the tractor pretty easily with that, and I can totally skip that mower deck. My foot, as you can see, hopefully there, my foot fits fully on that step, and it's really been a big benefit. I kind of wish that I'd had some video of the grease on my finger there. Around the tractor, you're never going to not have grease on you. I do kind of wish I had a video of me making this thing. So it was really cool. It was a fun project, getting it done, and was nice to be able to build something again. I used all steel I had on hand. The only thing I had to buy was the bolts, and I bought grade 8 bolts. No specific reason for the connection. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought that'd be cool. The measurements are in the video. If you've skipped ahead by chance and made it this far, go back. I did actually measure this. If I can, I'll try to put them in the description sometime. And hopefully on another project I can kind of show you more of the process of how I build things and figure things out and everything. I've got a ballast box I'm going to make. I've got a stump bucket I'm going to be making. And so maybe I can share some of those design notes and design thoughts with you, and help you to make your own things. It's really an accomplishment to build something and find out how well they work and everything. This hasn't been on there that long. A couple guys in the neighborhood have already seen it, and we're very happy with how it looked and everything. And so Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And anything that you want to know about it or anything like that, just let me know. And like I said, I'll get that information to you if I can. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.